This is a tutorial on changes of ownership, and this is the changes of ownership #1 document. It's an affidavit regarding merger, and I just thought I would walk you through these three types of changes of ownership so you can kind of see the thought process that goes into analyzing these instruments and determining whether or not they are sufficient to transfer title legally. And again, what our main concern is here is we want to make sure that we don't expose our company to any liability. And the liability would be someone that actually doesn't own the property will acquire an interest in it either by fraud or some other method like that, or accident even. So we want to make sure that whoever is the new owner has the correct legal documents in place before we transfer the interest, before we update our corporate records. So usually we have to request something in order to do that. But in this case, we're looking at what's called an affidavit regarding merger, and it's Flagstone Petroleum Corporation and Map Resources. So that's who I would put as the current owner. I would put Flagstone Petroleum Corporation is the current owner, and you're acknowledging that Map Resources is a corporation duly organized Welcome to today's tutorial on changes of ownership. This is the first changes of ownership instrument that you will be analyzing, and I just thought it would be helpful to let you hear the thought process of someone who is experienced with this, so you can see what I'm looking for, what the red flags are. And again, your central focus here is that you are trying to prevent your company from being exposed to liability. So you want to make sure that anytime you transfer an interest in real estate, in royalty interest, you make sure that that person who is transferring the interest has the legal authority to do so, and that there's no red flags in there. There's nothing in there that's going to indicate to you, well, maybe this is suspicious. Maybe this isn't actually the true owner conveying it to a new owner. Maybe there's some kind of fraud or subterfuge going on here. So let's look at this first instrument, which is an affidavit regarding merger. So the first thing I do is I read every one of these word for word, because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want there to be some red flag in there that I miss. So this is affidavit regarding merger, and it's Flagstone Petroleum Corporation and Map Resources. And it says, I, the undersigned, H.G. Bedford, Secretary of Map Resources, Inc., a corporation duly organized and existing and by virtue of the laws of the state of Texas, hereby certify that as Secretary I am authorized to execute the certificate on behalf of the corporation, and attached is a true and correct copy of the certificate of merger. Sorry, let me get my drawing tool here. Of the certificate of merger from the Secretary of State, State of Texas, the State of Incorporation, merging Flagstone Petroleum Corporation into Map Resources. So probably what I have in my records is Flagstone Petroleum Corporation. So I'm going to make sure that the spelling is correct of Flagstone Petroleum Corporation. And if it's exactly this way in my records, Flagstone Petroleum Corporation, not Flagstone Petroleum Limited or LLC or company, it's got to say exactly as this. So if this is the way my company records are set up, and then this is a conveyance or a merger into Map Resources, then I'm going to be pretty comfortable that these people are who they say they are. And then it says said merger is going to be effective as of December 29, 2000. Okay, in witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand as Secretary of said corporation this 15th day of January 2001. Now I'm watching my dates, because if the dates are off in any way, that's another clue to me that this might be some kind of a fraud here. So let's then look at, now this affidavit is not what is the certificate of merger. This affidavit is just saying I, as a secretary, am presenting this certificate of merger. So if you only had this affidavit, that would be insufficient to merge the corporation into the new corporation. Okay, so then let's look at the actual, and then look, this is acknowledged, this is great. You know, this is in Texas, Map Resources in Texas. So this is from the state of Texas, County of Midland, and it says the date that it was notarized. That's January 15th, 2001 by H.G. Bedford as the Secretary of Map Resources on behalf of said corporation. And then witness my hand and official seal. So here's the notary seal. And what the notary seal is, all it's saying is that the person that signed his name here in front of me had some driver's license or some way that I could identify him to say, yes, this person that signed it is one and the same as H.G. Bedford. So again, we're trying to make sure there's no fraud being perpetrated. So that notary, her job is to make sure that whoever signs a legal document is who they say they are. She's not validating the truth of the document. All she's saying is, I saw some kind of identification that convinced me that this guy is the same person that executed this instrument. Okay. Now, I also like to watch, when I look at notarial seals, when they expire. So this is March 16th, 2001. This is January 15th, 2001. So she still had the legal authority to be a notary and to affix the seal. Now, if this had been rendered in April of 2001, now we've got a red flag. Now we've got a cloud on title because her commission expired. She didn't have the legal authority to notarize it. So that's one thing I always look for, is whether they have the legal authority and whether their commission has expired. Okay, then we look at the state of Texas, Secretary of State, Certificate of Merger, Map Resources, Inc. The undersigned Secretary of State of the state of Texas hereby certifies that the attached Articles of Merger of Flagstone Petroleum Corporation. Again, this is exactly how my records should be set up. Flagstone Petroleum Corporation, a Texas corporation with Map Resources, have been received in this office and are found to conform to law. Accordingly, the undersigned, as such Secretary of State, now I'm going to assume that the Secretary of State of Texas verified that this guy was the secretary and had the authority to show this certificate of merger, or to execute this certificate of merger. Okay, so now this from the state is dated December 29th, 2001. That's fine. Effective December 29th, so a lot of times it's the same date. Sometimes it's a different date. But remember, the affidavit was after this. So that's good. So I know that this was executed first, and then once it was executed, this guy came along and did an affidavit saying it. So his was after. So see, I'm watching the dates to make sure all the dates make sense. And then it needs to be recorded. So here I show that it's filed of record on October 1st, 2001. Again, this is after the 8 January date. It's after the December 29th dates, and that's as it should be. So again, you know there's nothing fishy going on. And it was filed in the records of Pecos County, Texas. Okay, and that's in volume 729, page 287. It's recorded October 1st, 2001. So it looks like all the dates make sense. I don't really see any red flags beyond this. So what I would do here is I would just then send a letter to the Secretary of Map Resources and send him a transfer order saying we have hereby, even though it's not officially a transfer, it's a merger, we are changing the name of our records from Flagstone Petroleum Corporation to Map Resources. And we're going to want that secretary to sign that instrument, that transfer order. And what it's saying is that we have what's called indemnity language in there. It's Latin for no damages. So we have language in there that says, look, we're going to rely on the documents that you've given us, but if there's some ambiguity and you're perpetrating a fraud against us and we get sued, you're going to pay our legal fees. So it's very important when you are doing a transfer that you send out a transfer order and that you put that interest in suspense until they sign that transfer order. That's another way that you're protecting your company. So that is the affidavit regarding merger for Flagstone Petroleum Corporation and MAP Resources. I think this is good to go. Stay tuned and we'll do the next tutorial.